Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. We have the President of the Republic talks with the Ethiopian Prime Minister. The consultation meeting to deal with the inflation at the Djibouti Chamber of Commerce. For the international scene, Palestinian president calls for end of Israeli occupation during talks with Antony Blinken. Welcome to our newsroom. One-on-one audience with the Prime Minister Abiy and the highlight of President Gille's state visit to Ethiopia. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Gille, as part of his 72-hour state visit to Ethiopia since yesterday, held separate talks with this Monday morning with the Prime Minister of this brotherly, friendly and neighboring country, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed Ali. This summit audience allowed the two leaders to discuss bilateral relations as well as the progress of a strategic partnership that the two nations maintain in almost all areas of sustainable development. Djibouti and Ethiopia have made for more than 2 decades the wise choice of our community of economic destiny, acting as a model of integration both for the countries of the region and the African continent. In addition to identifying new sectors of fruitful collaboration for both countries and people, the talks between the head of state and Prime Minister Abiy also provided an opportunity to define as a global framework for actions enabling the two nations to deal with the fallout from the multifaceted crises that have punctuated the world in recent years under the banners of synergy and active solidarity. This summit audience between the leaders of Djibouti and Ethiopia led to a working meeting extended to delegations of both parties. This stage was mainly marked by the speeches that the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Gille, made in its midst. In his speech, President Gille first welcomed the privileged nature of relations between the two countries and praised the political will behind the successful partnership of integration between the two nations. We are proud of the portrait of integration model that the Djibouti and Ethiopian tandem constitute today, said the President of the Republic, who we are proud of the models of integration that Djibouti and Ethiopian tandem is today, said the President of the Republic, who availability of the Republic of Djibouti to continue effort to further increase the level of economic complementarity with Ethiopia. In his speech, the head of state, who was also pleased with the resounding success on which has recently resulted in the collaboration of the two countries engaged around the export of perishable goods, called for his wishes the multiplications of such a fruitful initiative as for a continuous expansion in integration partnership and shared interest for both nations. The Ethiopian Prime Minister, His Excellency Abiy Ahmed Ali, who had preceded the speeches of the Djiboutian President, had for his part made the history and the account of merit of the strategic partnership between Djibouti and Ethiopia, and had especially taken advantage of this opportunity to emphasize the high degree of interdependence between the two countries and the two peoples, and consequently the need for the two nations to be governed permanently by a constant solidarity, immutable, infallible, in addition to the respective interventions of the Djiboutian head of state and Ethiopian Prime Minister. The extended working audience to the delegations of both parties also served as a framework for exchanges of good founded related to the additions of political reframing to the complementarity that the two countries maintain in a series of neuralgic sectors, including logistics and transport, energy and waters. President Gelle arrived yesterday in the middle of the afternoon in Addis Ababa, the Ethiopian capital, at the invitations of the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali on a 3-day state visit to these sister countries, a clear sign of political closeness between the Republic of Djibouti and the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, and their two main leaders, President Ismail Omar Guelleh becomes the first foreign head of state and government invited to make a state visit, the most important diplomatic format in Ethiopia after the reappointment of Prime Minister Abiy as a head of the Ethiopian government, and since his inauguration as a head of the new political formation is the Prosperity Party in power is in these brotherly, friendly and neighboring countries. An important delegation including the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, the Minister of Infrastructure and Equipment Hassan Muhammad Arbahim, and the President of the Authority of Port and Free Zone Abubakar Umar Haddi accompanies the President of the Republic in the framework of this 72-hour state visit to Ethiopia. Following the bilateral meeting between the two delegations, the Ethiopian Minister of Finance, Ahmed Shide, provided an overview of the main points discussed by the two leaders. Listen to him.
The state visit by His Excellency President Ismail Omar Guelleh was as a result of the invitation of His Excellency Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed, and the visit is to mark our unique, strategic, comprehensive relationships, people to people, government to government, and also our economic integration is very high. Our joint security and peace and stability is very important. It is to advance and enhance that kinds of relationships. So we have a very cherished, unique relationships, and there has been comprehensive discussion along various fronts. First of all, there has been agreement on enhancing our infrastructure connectivity, both in terms of enhancing our road connectivity, in terms of building highways that connect with Djibouti corridor. In both sides, we have agreed on that one. We have also discussed in issues related to energy connectivity, and so the two leaders has also instructed us to work and speed up that. In addition to that, the water supply project which Djibouti has invested in Ethiopian territory, in eastern part of Ethiopia, in Somali region, it has some issues related to electricity connectivity. Prime Minister has gave direct authorization that we should urgently fix that one. And then the energy connectivity to this water supply project will enhance the water volume which is going to be harvested from the boreholes that will be transported via pipeline to Djibouti. This is a very unique project, the water supply project. It's transboundary water supply project for which Djibouti has invested and Ethiopia is hosting that investment. So the two leaders also agreed to enhance this one. We have also agreed to enhance the operational efficiency and effectiveness of Ethio-Djibouti Railway Share Company, which we have jointly established and operating very well. Its traffic volume has been increasing from time to time, but to the level of the expectation of the two economies, the two leadership, it has to be further optimized. It has to be further, the cargo volume has to increase, the efficiency and effectiveness has to increase. We are looking for the modalities of additional investment into private sector of this line. So that agreement has also been reached. So in addition to that, we have agreed in terms of enhancing our trade relationships. Djibouti is a vital trade route for Ethiopia, and particularly the massive port investment and the free zone investment in Djibouti is facilitating Ethiopia's significant import demand, which is very much increasing from time to time. So the two leaders also agreed on enhancing that trade relationships, that Djibouti's facilitation to free zone business companies which are facilitating re-export of Djibouti to Ethiopia is very vital, because a lot of food items and essential commodities are re-exported from Djibouti to Ethiopia, which is to the strategic advantage of both Ethiopia and Djibouti. And the two leaders have agreed to also ease and facilitate those companies working with Ethiopian importers on facilitating this one. This is very much also important for the food security of Ethiopia as well. In addition to that, Djibouti is going to invest also in agriculture in Somali region, in places close to Djibouti border, as well as also in Afar region of investment on agriculture. And the Prime Minister has made clear instruction to ministers to work with the regional authorities of Somalia and Afar region to facilitate this investment. So in addition to this infrastructure, trade, and these additional port-related issues, we have also discussed on the way of Ethiopia investing on part of this newly built Demerjog oil depot infrastructure, which is coming up. And Ethiopian Investment Holding is going to have a discussion with Djibouti authorities on this one. So in the future, we're also anticipating and working towards investment swapping between the two countries in terms of key infrastructure, both Ethiopia investing on Djibouti and Djibouti investing on Ethiopian critical companies or infrastructure related to infrastructure and logistics and others. So this way we can enhance comprehensively our economic cooperation and integration.
As for the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Djibouti, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, he said that the two leaders discussed all issues related to bilateral cooperation. He pointed out that this state visit of the head of state was successful. Under the high patronage of Prime Minister Abdel Qadir Kamel Mohammed, Djibouti, a presentation is presentation ceremony of the digital transformation roadmap in Djibouti took place yesterday at Camp Piski. After the official speeches, it was time for panel discussions on digital transformation in Djibouti. During these panel discussions, presentations focus on digital technology that have immense potential to transform economic and social interactions. At the end of the panel discussions, the Minister of Budget and the Minister of Digital Economy and Innovation signed a memorandum of understanding on digital taxation. This memorandum of understanding will allow small and medium-sized enterprises or digital such as Kiki Drop to flourish and to discharge their duties. The digital economy is at the head of the new economy. The Minister of Budget, Ismail Ibrahim Roble, received in his office the Vice President of the World Bank Group for the Middle East and North African region, Mr. Farid Belhaj, accompanied by the resident representative of the World Bank in Djibouti and other members of the delegations. The meeting was attended by the Minister of Trade, Mohamed Warsama Diriye, the Minister of Social Affairs Solidarity, Ulufa Ismail Abdo, the Secretary General of Government, Almis Mohamed Abdullahi, and the Secretary General of the Ministry of Budget, Simon Mebratu. On the many of discussions, the participations of the World Bank of the fight against the repercussions of the current situation of the geopolitical crisis on the economy of the country. The Vice President of the World Bank Group for the Middle East and the World Bank granted an interview to give him the ins and outs of this meeting. For that part, the Minister of Social Affairs Solidarity, Ulufa Ismail Abdo, continued to highlight the discussions between the two parts and added that the Djiboutian government did not wait for the contributions of the World Bank to put a term in repercussions of the crisis of current geopolitical. The Chamber of Commerce hosted this Monday, March 28, 2022, a consultation meeting to address inflation with the private sector traders, co-chaired by the Minister of Commerce and Tourism, Mohamed Warsama Diriye, and the President of the Chamber of Commerce, Yusuf Musa Dawale. The meeting was attended by all traders from the private sectors specializing in food products of first necessity. The objective of this meeting is to establish a climate of trust and collaboration for a fruitful work of consultations and exchange on the control of prices. Let's recall that the government, on the decisions of His Excellency the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, has put in place a whole plan of actions to face the sparing prices, including, for example, subsidies of food product with the abolitions of the VAT. The Minister of Trade and Tourism, Mohamed Warsama Duriye, recalled that in order to regulate the supply of consumer product to the market and to fight against price speculation, the Ministry of Trade, with the support of the government, will mobilize all its resources to ensure the proper functioning of the market. The Ministry of Commerce and Tourism continues its price control operations through the national territory to enforce the prices set by the ministry. This Monday, March 28, 2022, the inspections took place at the level of Gabon district. The controllers says it, the traders of the places to remind them the obligation of deliveries of invoice for any commercial transactions. The inspector noted unjustified increase in the prices of some traders. To this effect, all the sales branches in violations were closed, and the offenders were imposed significant penalties. To this end, the merchant is required to issue the invoice upon completion of the sale or services, or the buyers must claim it. The invoice must be drawn up in at least 2 copies. The sellers must give the original invoice to the buyers and keep the duplicate. Any professional who has sold or resold product, goods, and or offered services without issuing an invoice is liable to a fine. As part of social welfare programs of the Great Hall of the People's Palace, hosted this morning a ceremony dedicated to the distributions of the collection of Zakat for the year 2021 under the patronage of His Excellency the Minister of Muslim Affairs and Waqf, Momin Hassan Barre, organized by the Foundation of Diwan Zakat. So the participation is among other the Chairman of Board of the Directorate of the Foundation, Abdul Basit Ahmed Al-Zuraqi, and the Director General of the Diwan Zakat, Suleiman Hussein Musa, as well as representatives of major donors of individuals and companies and executives of the Ministry of Islamic Affairs and Waqf. The total number of families benefiting from this financial assistance is in the city of Djibouti and the suburb of Balbala is about 1,260 families. The occasion ended with the distributions of Zakat sample to some poor families, the elderly and disabled. This step came after the Zakat office implemented similar distribution last week to vulnerable families and peoples with limited income in the 5 interior regions. It should be noted that the Zakat Foundation was established in 2004 at the initiative of the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, as part of his effort to improve the conditions of vulnerable groups in society, as well as to revive the third pillar of the Islam's, namely Zakat. The Chairman of Board of the Directors of Diwan Zakat, Sheikh Abdul Basit Ahmed, delivered a speech on this occasion in which he reviewed the objectives of Diwan Zakat, stressing that since its establishment in 2004, it has managed to alleviate the suffering of thousands of poor families and effectively fight against poverty. For his part, the Director General of the Diwan Zakat, Suleiman Hussein Musa, delivered a speech on the ceremony of distribution of the product of Zakat for the year 2021, in which he expressed his thanks and gratitude to the President of the Republic. He also thanked the Minister of Muslim Affairs and Waqf, as well as the Zakat recipient, for their efforts to ensure the success of the programs and activities of the institution. There is no doubt that the pillar of Zakat has been and still is the effective resolution that the problem related to poverty and its dimensions are the strengthening of social solidarity since the revelations of the message of the Prophet, peace be upon him, said the General Directors of Diwan Zakat. On the other hand, the General Director said that this financial assistance would alleviate the suffering of the vulnerable segments who benefit from it, especially since it comes at a time when the world is witnessing a rise in prices of basic foodstuffs. Finally, he pointed out that more than 1,200 poor families in different neighborhoods of Djibouti, the capital, are benefiting from this relief, urging traders and the wealthy to pay their zakat money to the zakat office. The Minister of Muslim Affairs and Waqf, Momin Hassan Barre, expressed his great pleasure in sponsoring the ceremony of distribution of zakat proceeds for the year 2021, speaking about the purpose of the establishment of the zakat diwan and the various activities carried out by the foundation during the past years. He stressed that the distribution of zakat to poor families in the city of Djibouti comes after the completion of its distribution to those who deserve it at the level of the interior regions of the country. The distribution of the product of zakat for the year 2021 also comes at the end of the month of Sha'ban and only a few days before the advent of the blessed month of Ramadan, the month of mercy and giving and helping deserving and strata, said Minister Momin Hassan Barre. The minister recalled that the objective is of the establishment of the Diwan Zakat by His Excellency the President of the Republic was to revive this religious ritual and strengthen the bonds of solidarity and cooperation between the different strata of Djiboutian society of the product of Zakat. The Committee on Finance, General Economy and Planning devoted the meeting it held on Monday, March 28, under the chairmanship of the Honorable Charmake Musa Are to the review of the draft law number 144 approving the 2019 financial account of the National Agency for State Information System. This meeting was attended by the parliamentarian member and non-members of the committee. The government was represented by Sir Al-Mis Muhammad Abdullahi, Secretary General of the government, and the Director General of the ANSI, Ms. Mustafa Muhammad Ismail, assisted by his close collaborators of the agency. After broad and exchanges of view between parliamentarian and executives, the committee gave a favorable opinion on this text studied for transmission to the public session. A ceremony in the honors of the first female military pilot, Lieutenant Yasmin Daher Ismail, took place this morning at the Djiboutian Air Force Base. This symbolic ceremony for the advancement and progress of all Djiboutian women is presided over by General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of the Staff of the Army. General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim first greeted the picket of honors. The military rank and file mobilizes in his honor, a ceremony marked by the military woman and which underlines the progress made every day by the Djiboutian woman. The ceremony dedicated to the first military pilot, Yasmin Daher Ismail, was also marked by the piloting demonstration that the laureate of the Head of State Prizes was willing to present to her public. Welcome at the landing by General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of Staff of the General Army. The icon of the day of the National Army was entitled to all the honors. Yasmin Daher Ismail is a laureate of the prizes of the Head of State during the World Day celebrated on 8 March 2022 by the Ministry of Women and Families in collaboration with the UNFT at the headquarters of the UNFT. The ceremony in honor of the first military pilot is also marked by an important musical animation organized for the occasion. Songs and dances relating to the courage and sacrifices of the soldier for the fatherland have vibrated the launch pad organized in the honor of the first military pilot of the country. Atmosphere's animation. The ceremony ended with the family photo taken with the first military pilot, Lieutenant Yasmin Daher Ismail.
gardaradii cadayd garnaylkii dhaciyo gowdii madfaca ee gilgilay arlada jaalageesi qaran inaad gibirsataa waa wax soo gudho difaacaad gashaa waa galacla iyo gabal kuugu dhacay
As part of the program to promote essential social practices, UNFD in collaboration with UNICEF and in partnership with the Engela Community Management Committee organized a community dialogue in child and young child feeding, followed by a cooking demonstrations for a pregnant and lactating women. The objective of this meeting was to provide nutrition education and to discuss the importance of healthy eating and the consequences of food insecurity. The UNFD was represented by its two superiors, namely Halima Noor and Hassan Ibrahim Abdallah. For the international scene, Ethiopians Fikri Bekele and Adugna Dalasa won the 27th editions of the Rome Marathons on Sunday. Fikri Bekele, the winners of the 2022 editions, finished the race in 2 hours 6 minutes 48 seconds, erasing the previous record set by the Benjamin Kipto of Kenya in 2009. The Ethiopian Tadesse Temirchad finished in second place ahead of his compatriot with the 2 hours 7 minutes and 4 seconds on the clock, followed by the Moroccan Osman El Gumri, who took third places in 2 hours 7 minute in the women's race. Chedala Adguna Dalasa, one of the 30-year-old athlete, has created a significant gap between her and her competitors. She won the races in 2 hours 26 minutes and 9 seconds. Gladys Linuto Kipto of Kenya took the silver medals in 2 hours 28 minutes. The Ethiopian Nedi Tadeleche Bekele closed the podiums in 2 hours 31 minutes and 1 second. Palestinian president calls for end to Israeli occupations in talks with Antony Blinken. The Palestinian president Mahmoud Abbas told visiting U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Sunday that the Israeli occupations of the Palestinian territories must end through a political solution. In a meeting with Blinken in the West Bank of city of Ramallah, Abbas stressed the need of resolve all permanent status issues, including the refugee issues and the relief release of all prisoners under the auspices of the international quarters and in accordance with the international resolutions. The official Palestinian news agency Wafa reported Abbas called on the U.S. to implement its commitment to the two-state solutions by ending Israeli settlement aggressions and settlers, preserving the historical locations of Al-Aqsa Mosque in East Jerusalem and prohibiting unilateral Israeli actions. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.